How do we recognize someone who is spiritually awake, spiritually enlightened? So they wear hats and scarves. That's it. Thank you for this video. um, Out of joking, how do we recognize when someone has done their work? That's a very good question. How do I know somebody is not faking it, trying to trick me or pretending? And there's a few things that personally I look for when seeking for a teacher or a mentor or a guide of sorts. There's a few things that I try to be present to ensure that the people that I'm connecting with and trusting are leading me to a good place. So the first one is if they say, I am a very conscious person, I am an awakened person, I'm spiritually awakened, I am enlightened, run for your life, because it is like the priest telling the people at mass that he is holy. And there's a quote that I really like that says, the lion doesn't have to roar for the other animals to know he's a lion. If you think of recent spiritual leaders, like Mother Teresa, Sadhguru, we can observe that, or for example also let's say Nelson Mandela, although he was very involved in politics, in essence he was a spiritual leader. Mahatma Gandhi. I have yet to see the first quote where any of them was saying, I am a spiritual awakened person, I am conscious, I am a good person. No. Their life was their message. Their life spoke volumes for them. So if you look at someone and the way they live their life, that's all you need to know. My personal experience is that people who are very, let's say, advanced down the path of spirituality, being in their presence frees you a little bit. When you're with them, you get to be more of yourself. You kind of forget around all the nonsense that goes through your head. You feel a desire to love. You feel more loved as well. You don't feel you have to pretend or to prove yourself to them, because you feel that at the other side there is somebody looking at you without expectations. He or she does not want anything from you and therefore sees you with love. How to know if someone is spiritually awakened? Well, what does their identity tell you? Do they seem like they're caught up in who they are, their race, their country, their job, their gender? Or do they seem to reside in a place a lot deeper, a layer a lot more profound than all of this? Do they seem to operate from egoic desires or from their soul? And this may be hard to assess if you don't know the person or you're not close to them. But the main thing is that if anyone is telling you they're a good person, I would be curious about why they're trying to prove that. If you're curious about the degree of connection a person has with themselves, look at their life. What's the fruit of their labor? Are they impeccable in the way they move, in the way they sit, in the way they speak? Or are they careless with their words? Do they listen and pay attention when you are talking to them? Or do they seem distracted because they're out to get something that you're not giving them? Do they seem ruled by their consciousness or their compulsions? How do they smile? How do they laugh? What do they love doing with their free time? And how do they do it? Even the way they eat will show you. In Japan, there's a spiritual practice where the whole asana or the whole ritual is trying to serve tea. I think it's a Zen practice. Trying to serve tea in the most impeccable way. Serving tea as a path to enlightenment. So, an enlightened person, you look at them doing many things. They tend to be very active in the world. And there's a lot of things being done, but if you look deeply enough, there's nobody doing it. It's the force of nature, of the creator, of creation, flowing through them and expressing itself in an impeccable way, without the clugginess or the blur that the mind adds, that the identity that the ego tends to put in the way. It doesn't mean that this person does not have an ego. We all need an ego to be in this reality. We need an identity. We need a physical body. They can still have their personality. But where we choose to act from, that's up to each of us. So I hope this video was useful. I hope that you realize that the people close to you, maybe they're far more advanced down the path than you gave them credit for. And that any charlatan or anybody that's out here to convince you that they are awakened, or who speaks a lot about, look at how awake I am and look at how asleep everybody else is. Everybody who keeps speaking of division, of they are a sheep and I'm a lion, or they are the asleep ones and I'm the woke one. Everybody who fosters that kind of semantic, that kind of dialogue, is still caught up in separation. Enlightened beings, just their mere presence invites union within yourself and with them. And the opposite is also true. People who live in a lot of their mind and their body and their ego, being in their presence invites you to disconnect, to mistrust, to fear. So, what do they plant? What flowers are sprouting around them? Are they a sign of a profound spiritual process or of lies? That's all you have to check for. Thank you, and talk to you next time.